Good evening and welcome to my podcast, How to Fight CPS and Stop Taking Our Children. My name is Bob Pace, and I am a family man with 6 children. 3 are grown up and 3 are younger ones, and I have a marriage of 31 years. Actually 32 years. And let me see something here. Oh boy. It seems like we have connection problems again with Facebook. I apologize for all of you out there that are trying to find me. We've had this ongoing problem with Facebook, and it says an error has occurred. Wait a moment, then try again. Well, I had that same error when I tried to go live. I clicked the live button, and then I clicked it a second time and it said error. And so I clicked it several times and I had to get out of it. So I don't know if I am live. That's great, Grace. If you can hear me and tell me I'm live and everything's working great. She's my producer that I'm talking to. She's my show producer. And it looks like she's trying to fix the Facebook setting. Okay. She has told me I am live. There was a glitch. Something beyond my control, because at 6:59 he hit the live button, and I do normally do that. So anyway, we're having a kind of a rock and roll start here, but this is a live podcast, and it's being beamed around the world. You found me on Facebook, How to Fight CPS, and I'm broadcasting on YouTube. I'm using the StreamYard application. And so, whatever reason, sometimes things don't go always perfect. So I'm glad to have my show producer, Grace, working behind the scenes. I thank her. Now, you've all found this place. You wonder, what is this place all about? Well, we're here to talk about CPS. Now, what is CPS? To me, the agency, or the arm of social services that's supposed to protect our children from neglect or abuse, is the agency I'm talking about. I call them the Child Protection System, CPS. Now, CPS is known everywhere around the world, around the United States. We have countries that listen to this and also join me. And we have the states too. And the whole purpose of this is to help every one of you that may be impacted by a CPS case. So when I say CPS, I mean the Child Protection System, the branch of social services that protects our children from neglect and abuse. All right, we got our links up again, so we should be fine there. Okay, now this is an interactive podcast, which means is that you that join me can interact here. And one of the first ways to interact with this podcast is to be in this room. And I'm so glad you joined me, or in the process of joining me, or will join me later. Now, to interact in this podcast, all you have to do is listen and take notes. I really appreciate if you'd use some emojis like thumbs up, hearts, smiley faces, also stars. You can send me stars. That's great. Please check below if you want to subscribe to my podcast, and also if you want to be notified when I'm on. And so to all you listeners, welcome. And really, it's a warm welcome, because what you're going through is a very terrible scenario The child protection system is awful. They're not transparent. They are not who they purport to be. They lie. They do damaging things to your family. They traffic children into foster care and they alienate children from their parents. And they do this in unscrupulous fashions. They also do retaliation. My family was retaliated. My family was lied. My family was destroyed. My life has been destroyed since my involvement with the child protection system. And I've talked to over 500 people in all the 50 states and 14 countries around the world. And so I am here to help answer your questions and concerns and also give my knowledge of fighting with CPS and winning back my children. I had 3 of my children that were stolen by CPS. I really can't say a nice thing about the CPS in the area I lived in. It was in Southern California in Orange County. And the system is corrupt. I know it firsthand. I dealt with it firsthand. And I went to the top dog of CPS and tried to show where they were wrong and what they're doing. I tried to show them that way. Now, the second way of interacting with this podcast is to, if you want to express a question or a comment, all you have to do is type your comment that pertains to CPS, You want to make sure that we were talking about CPS. That's what we're here for. So all the focus, all the comments and questions should see there. Please show me your name. And you're probably asking, well, I have my name already listed on my Facebook. Yes, you may have put a name that may be a name that is part of what you're trying to theme or cause on your Facebook page. Like a name of psychedelic hippos or jumping elephants or Gone with the Wind or dances is hard for me to address. I'm looking for a name like Bob, Bill, Mary, Tim, Tom, Debbie, Sue, those kind of names. I don't need a last name. And right after your name, put the city or state. Put the city or state. Now, the city or state, that's all one or the other. If you don't want to put the city, at least put the county. I'm sorry, it's city or county. And then you want to follow by the state. So it's a city or county followed by the state. That helps me generalize where the CPS cases that are good or bad are in the country. And I hate to say about 99% of the people I talk to have had horrible cases with their children. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this CPS is a worldwide thing. I also have countries. So I like the city and the country if you're from the country when you text the message. So far, I've heard from Bangladesh, New Delhi, India, a country in the Middle East, both in Arabic, the continent of Africa, Liberia on the west coast in North Africa, the west coast province of South Africa, Rwanda in Central East Africa, and Mozambique on the east side of Africa across from Madagascar, the island of Madagascar. Now, up in Europe, I've had England, Scotland, and Wales, part of the United Kingdom, and I've had Denmark and Sweden. Across the pond, I've had Canada and countries like British Columbia and Alberta, and both the west and the east coast of Canada. I've had all 50 states, including the District of Columbia. Then further south, I've had Mexico, and then down in South America, I've had Guyana on the east coast, above Brazil and the east of Venezuela. Then across the Pacific Ocean to the land down under, I've had Australia. And it's from the Gold Coast area of Australia and Melbourne in the state of Victoria. Now, it's important that you complete with your case. If you start off and explain a little bit about your case, it'll help a lot of questions and it makes things go faster. All I really need to know is your makeup of your family. Are you a husband, wife? Are you a girlfriend, boyfriend? Are you just lovers? Are you a partnership? And are both of the parents involved with this case and with these children? Are both helping? Are you a single parent? And are the parents the same biological parents of the children? And then the ages of the children and the sexes of the children. Also details your neglect and abuse. That would help me understand your case on there. And then how were your children taken? That's important to know. I'm trying to do a study of that, how children were taken. And then where are you at on your case? Where are you at on your case? So those are things that I like to see. Now, the third way is to, if you want to be a guest on my podcast, all you need to do is schedule it by contacting my show producer. Her name is Grace. She works very hard behind the scenes, and she'll help you get on my show as a guest. Her email is grace@vincentwdavis.com. Grace@vincentwdavis.com. And you just email her. Now, I'm on, 7 days a week, twice a day. I come on at 10 o'clock in the morning Pacific Standard Time, and then again at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for 1 hour. I have exception to that because on every Sunday I come on at 8 o'clock in the morning Pacific Standard Time. I come in a couple hours early because I have church to go with my family. Also on October 4th, I have a football game with my son that I'm going to. So my evening show will come on earlier. I'll be on at 4 o'clock, 4 to 5 on October 4th for 1 hour. And if any other times, I will certainly notify you. Now, to be a guest, you write the email, you pick the date. I will be on Bob's morning show on Sunday, or Bob's evening show on Saturday, or Bob's morning show on Wednesday, or evening show on Wednesday. You pick those dates. You either give morning or AM, either Monday through Sunday. You pick one of those dates, and she'll gladly put you on. Now, I can have up to 9 guests. A total of 10 people can be on SteamYard, and we can have 10 windows opened up. And she will go over what you can do and not do as a guest. Like we don't allow eating on the show or smoking on the show. Furthermore, we don't give the names of children or judges or social workers. Try to refrain from using those names. And of course, she may talk to you about lighting and your microphone and so forth. It's best to use a computer, but a phone's acceptable. A phone is okay. So I look forward to seeing you as my guest. I've had some interesting guests on here before, and it'd be great to have you. So please send an email to grace@vincentwdavis.com. Now, lastly, to interact with this podcast, you can call in, and I can put you on speakerphone. My call-in number, office number, is 626-698-0990. That's 626-698-0990. I'll put it up on the screen and leave it there. That means my phone's live, and you can talk to me during my podcast. If you call me before my podcast or after my podcast, I can't talk to you. Leave a message, and I'll text back the times that I'll be on. So that is the fourth way. I told you by just being in the room is one way. By texting me comments is another way. By being a guest is the third way. And the fourth way is by doing a phone call. So again, I warmly welcome all of you. You've come to the right place to talk about your CPS case. Now, this CPS case, may be very difficult for you. I don't know all the circumstances yet, but feel free to talk about it. And again, just listening and taking notes. Now, I do have things like rules I've come up with that will help you with your CPS case. There's 5 of them. There's like the rule of getting an attorney, or rule of organizing your notebook, or the rule of not letting them in your home or take your children, or saying no to social workers, or the rule of research, finding everything is about your case. And the last rule is the rule of important documents to be put in a folder. Those are my 5 rules, and I'll go into them a little bit more detail. Also, I can tell you what you can expect that these social workers are like. I have a lot of background stories about how awful they are and why I feel the way that I do. There isn't a day goes by I don't read about a case where is the social workers? Why aren't they after them? Why are they chasing someone down because they're low income, or because it's a little minor thing that can be corrected? They just love to prey on people that don't know very much and are low income. Because why? It's all money. It's all bases down to trillions of dollars that they make. Every child, when they open a case, they get money from the state, the county does. The state, in turn, gets the money from the federal government. It's not being monitored. It's not being accountable. There's no one watching it. There's no watchdog. So the money is very loosely, and they get a large amount of money, not a small amount, a large amount. It's $1 trillion business, trillions of dollars. Their social workers are given incentives and bonuses for keeping children, for trafficking, for alienating children from their parents. See, not only is the Child Protection Agency supposed to protect our children, they're supposed to help out families in need with food and clothing and shelter, education, and medical. And also, they're supposed to do family reunification when it's necessary to take a family apart. The best parents are the biological parents. Now, I want to give a warm welcome to Faye, who just came on. She's from Richmond, Kentucky, a single woman with a son that she's trying to gain guardianship, who's a special needs boy. And she's gone through a horrible time with herself being in foster care herself, and later having her daughter ripped from her arms, ripped from her heart. Thank you, Faye. She says something wrong with the brick wall background is covering the Fight CPS logo. I don't know if the brick wall. Oh, I see what you're saying. It's up there. They stretched the brick wall so it looks uniformly. It's still showing the red letters back there, but I know Grace will adjust it accordingly. But thank you for the heads up, Faye. Now, Faye, that you've come on, what would you like to do? Would you like to call in and talk about a topic? I've already told people how they interact in this podcast. Or is there a particular topic that I have open? I have 75 pages open. Or is there some new topic you want to talk about? I want everybody in this room to know this is an interactive podcast, meaning that you can pretty much dictate how you want the podcast to go. So, Faye, what would you like to do? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I could really use some direction here. I can talk about my questions that come up on Core Digest. There's some interesting questions. Today was a beautiful one about how not to let social workers come into your home or try to talk to you and stuff. That was a really good one this morning that I had. Now, we can also talk about the types of social workers that you encounter. They are really bad. Some are really, really bad. And one person that sticks in my mind is the pink ladies. I call them the pink ladies. You see, pink is breast awareness, is what pink is associated with. So I have no idea why they chose the color pink in Prescott, Arizona. But these social workers, 8 of them, all female, all white, decided to buy these pink t shirts, and on the front stencil, the words professional child kidnappers. And on the back, they put, "Do you know where your children are at?" Now, that was a horrible thing that they did. What's further horrible is they paraded around there in all these stores like Target and Best Buys and Kmart and Walmart and Costco and Sam's, all these big discount stores. And so they paraded around enough they did that. Now, Faye just typed in, anyway, let me finish the story while you guys can read what Faye has typed in. So these social workers paraded around and they were caught. They were immediately fired, as well as the director. That left one person left in Prescott to watch all those children. And that was sad there too. They're gone, but the impact they did was terrible, devastating to the people of Prescott. And that all happened in 2022. Look it up. It's on there. Now, Faye has typed a comment in here, and let's see what she says. Faye says CPS places children's fast track to adoptive homes, but most people don't know that a good majority of those adoptions disrupt and the adopted parents rehomes the adopted child to new adopted parents, and sometimes is done several times. That is true. That is so true, Faye. This is how a lot of children inside the system end up missing and lost in the system. I agree. You know, foster care is a system that the child protection system uses to temporarily and permanently adopt these children. Normally, when you adopt a child, you have to go through so much red tape, it takes years. You have to be vetted, meaning your background has to be checked out, and it's not an overnight process. But because CPS has control over your children and have had these parents come aboard, they quickly teach these parents how to be a foster care. But a lot of the foster care parents are bad. They harm children. They have children of their own, and so they take on more children, and their own children harm the foster care children, which is sad, which is really, really, really sad. The parents also abuse the foster kids sexually, physically, and mentally. They do it. I know from firsthand experience. My 3 children were abused by foster care families. Luckily, it was not sexual, but it was still abuse. It was still abuse. So, with it being so easy to adopt children through CPS and the foster care system, most people become a foster care because they know they get a child real quick. They're not vetted properly, meaning they need to have a good, extensive background check. And there needs to be a way of supervising these foster care parents because, again, they're paid just like the CPS is paid. There's a lot of money in foster care, a lot of money, not as much in the trillions of dollars that CPS generates, but it's like that. So they do get lost in the system. There are so many children that get lost all the time. In fact, there's a young boy who's the son of Darlene. Now, Darlene used to be my co-host for some time, and she had a son that she was incarcerated, and when they did not try to look up the mother of her son. She found about it, and so she's trying to get guardianship of her son. Now, her son was 17 at the time, but he's now 19, I think it was, or turned 18. He was lost in the child protection system's hands, and they wouldn't let him go. He was being transported from Georgia to Texas. And when he turned 18, he is legally an adult, and he could be out on his own. And they're trying to keep him because they get money for him. See, the county just tells the state, I have 700 children or this many children, and the state still keeps the money month after month after month. And that child is older. He's a grown adult. He's 19 years old. And Danielle is still having a terrible time trying to pursue to be his legal guardian. He wants his mother to be a legal guardian. Now, Faye further says there is no forever home. They sell to the public. Foster or adoptive care uses no more safe or stable than the homes these kids are removed from. Meaning, why CPS puts the kids in foster care? So they get money. The problem is the kids are no more safer in the foster care homes than their own home. And that is proven. Again, this foster care is too easy of a system. It's too corrupt. It is too corrupt. Okay. So yeah, Faye. Danielle. Did I say the wrong name? Danielle. Did I say the wrong name, Faye? Danielle used to be my co-host, and she had a son that she's pursuing that had turned at an older age, and he was still lost in the system. Yeah, okay, you're right. And so I'm telling you, that the area of foster care isn't the answer. Now, when kids that, or when the investigation starts, actually it's a fishing expedition. When they use the word investigation, it's a fishing expedition. Someone will call in, a layperson or a professional. A layperson or a professional. Now, when they call in, right away, CPS thinks you're guilty. Also has to do is cry wolf, and they will say you're guilty. It's the only court of law where CPS treat you as being guilty. So you got to be careful there. You have to prove you're innocent. And they have a bad habit of calling in to retaliate against another family or another family member or a neighbor. There's a lot of retaliation going on in the layperson's call-ins. Now, the professional people are supposedly trained how to recognize abuse. If they work with their children, they have to take classes on how to recognize abuse or neglect and how to report it. That'd be like your doctors or your policeman, your fireman, your nurse, your teacher, your counselor, your principal, your caregiver. They all have training in neglect and abuse, and they are called professional, and by law, they have to report it. The bruises they see on the child, the disheveled look on the child, the sad look in the child's eyes, the lack of clothing, and so forth. There's a lot of things they seem to recognize. So they come out hunting. for your child. When the call comes in, they have 24 hours. They have to complete an investigation. Now, you got to be careful when doing this. A lot of you think you can talk to them at your home. No, you don't talk to social workers, and you certainly don't let them in your home. If they come knocking, don't answer the door. You don't have to answer the door. The only time you're allowed to let somebody in, there's only 3 ways. 1, you give them permission to enter your home, or someone in your home gives them permission to enter. 2, there's domestic violence taking place or disturbance, meaning someone is fighting or arguing. And if a child's caught up in it, that's a no-no. And the social worker will enter the home as well as the policeman will. But, it's got to be where the child's in danger, extreme danger. Don't argue in front of a child. Don't reprimand a child physically. Don't reprimand a child physically. Now, Faye further adds, biological parents can't rehome our kids because we can't deal with them or they just aren't right for our family. So you shouldn't be illegal for adopted parents to do it too. Okay, let me read that again. Faye says biological parents can't rehome our kids. I don't know if she means can't return home our kids because we can't deal with them or they just aren't right fit for our family. So should be illegal for adoptive parents to do it too. They should be charged with abandonment and should not be allowed to readopt. Are you talking about foster care or are you talking about bio parents? That one's a new one for me, Faye. If you could help me elaborate a little further on that. That's interesting. But as I learned today further on, there's something called when you get a phone call about a complaint about your children, you should never have them come to your home. If you do see them outside of your home or you talk to them, ask them if they have an appointment. Ask them if they have an appointment. Good evening.
Hello?
Good evening.
Hi, good evening.
All right, we got Natalie from West Hollywood who's joined us tonight on the phone. We have Faye.
Yes, good evening. Yes, it's crazy today because they wanted to put fiber in my house, but I said no. I don't want little rat holes in the walls for fiber internet. It's not worth it.
Okay. Well, I'm not here to talk about fiber or internet.
Know.
I'm here to talk about CPS.
I'm trying to understand what Faye's saying. So what she's trying to say is there is, some children in the foster care, they can't get adopted for some reason, so they call it's a project rehousing. So what they do is they bring all the children that aren't adopted or like somehow they were adopted and they were just thrown back in the system from the foster parent adopted parents, and then so they put them in a place where strangers off the street can pick them up, but they have to display their quality. So it's creepy. I saw a documentary on it.
Yeah.
So basically, facing it, if as biological parents, we're not able to do the same thing.
Right.
But the foster parents can. But if we were to do it as parents, we would go to jail. But the foster parents don't because they get a rain check.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of leeway with foster parents. Faye said it'd be nice if the chat and the podcast lets you edit your comments for typos. I'm sorry, Faye, it doesn't allow that,
Okay.
but she may have did a typo there. And she further says she can't see the call-in number, please. Well, the reason why you can't see the call-in number is because I show your comments. If I don't show your comments, no one can read them except my producer or my guests, if I have guests to show. No one can read the comments in here. So that's why I show them. When I show them, they temporarily hide the number. And so I need to put it back because somehow it got taken off there. There's my number. And right now we have Natalie of West Hollywood, California.
Right.
She is.
So many of it.
Can I introduce you, Natalie? Yeah, you gotta wait. You gotta wait a second. I'm going to introduce you. Okay.
Okay.
People don't know who you are. That's why I have to introduce you.
Right.
All right. This is Natalie. She's a loving single mother. She has a son with his uncle, and then she has a daughter with a foster care, and she's neither one of them in touch with either children because the foster care parents are very corrupt, and the uncle is not talking to her for whatever reasons, but she wants her daughter to know her son and her son vice versa. And she also would like to see her two children. And she's been fighting. How long have you been fighting on this, Natalie?
15 years.
So she's been fighting 15 years. I know Faye has been fighting for 12 years. Faye has been fighting for 12 years.
I think it's more than that. She said since 2000.
Well, maybe it's 13 years. I could be off a year, Natalie. Maybe it's 13 years.
Right.
Anyway, these two ladies are very fine, wonderful people that have had a horrible time in the child protection system. Faye herself, as a small child and later as a teenager, was in and out of foster care 5 different times. She was physically abused, sexually abused, and she was even trafficking when she was a teenager. She's done the full gamut. She can tell horrific horror stories of how she was taken care of in foster care, about how bad the foster family was. Her mother was awful, which was sad. That's why she was in foster care. But it seems like the child protection system doesn't know how to be fair or honest with families. And they don't help the people that need help, and they overzealous take away children from families that need some help, maybe with food or clothing or shelter or education or medical or even a job. So it's very, 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 very corrupt. So right now, Faye, you should see my call-in number. It's up there on the screen. And right now, Natalie is called in because she wanted to talk about the comments that you're talking about in foster care. And you brought up a nice, interesting point about foster care. And you say that it's the rehome our kids because we can't deal with them.
Rehousing, yes.
Yeah.
So it's for the kids that they couldn't adopt out or that were adopted, but they're just thrown back.
So when they're thrown back, where are these kids placed? Where are these kids placed when they're thrown back?
They're probably placed like in a group home for a while until they were set up to be displayed in the public. And they have actually a website called Project Rehoming. And you can see all the children's pictures. In certain states, like Michigan or somewhere like that. I don't know about California, but they have them. So I saw this video, this documentary about how the children, they come out and they're like, some of them are teenagers and some of them are really young. They're like 8 or 9. And strangers off the street can just pick them up and sign a waiver and all this.
Well, I find that foster care needs to change. When you normally do adoption, you first have to be vetted. You got to be checked, thorough background check. And it takes years, not months, to adopt a child. But with the foster care being so loose-goose and run by the child protection system, they can adopt a child overnight really quick. And the sad part about it is a lot of the foster care families are very corrupt and abusive towards young children. Now, why they have to go to foster care in the first place? They're on the goal
Well, they want
to
to make
get them
the goal is to
adopted.
make money.
Yeah, to make money, and
Yeah.
they're on a goal to do that. So foster care is supposed to be trained by the CPS, but they don't do a very good job in training them. They're supposed to be vetted by the CPS. And all I see it is a cheap way for the CPS to make more money off your child being in trafficking into foster care.
If a lot of the foster parents, they don't get enough training. So the one way they can anticipate a less time is they can go to a foster family agency, which is a private agency. So they'll get half the time of hours to train.
Yeah.
So they'll probably get maybe 12 hours instead of 20. Because County of LA, you have to have 40 hours.
Okay.
So I know this because I knew that this woman that was doing foster care, she said you have to have at least 40 or more hours for County of LA.
Okay.
But she said a lot of the FFA agencies, they just require less, and because they get the funding and the CPS, they accept it anyway.
Yeah, but the problem is that it is the number of hours. It's how the foster care parents go through an education of classes. It should be a long period of time. But also, they need to be vetted, both state-wise and federal-wise. There's two ways you can be vetted, either through the federal government or through the state or both. And I think that anybody who's entrusted to adopt children should be vetted, meaning that's where they do a background check to see if that person's a pedophile or that person has a criminal record or a sex offender. That is why they go through the vetting process to find out what kind of background these people are. Then they should go through classes about the ages of children, because every age has different problems. You see, when we are born in this world, we're not born with a manual of how to have a child or how to get married or how to fight CPS. It's all through trial and error. And right now, the child protection system is not doing a good job. I think it should be a long process before a child is adopted by foster care. It
has a long process, but the thing is, they want a free child. They don't understand the heartache that
they want money too with that child. They want money with that child. You have to pay. Foster care is paid.
They want that state funding, $2,000 a month. There's a woman up the street. She claims that those are her children. They're not her children. They're mixed race children. Yes, she is a black lady, but they have no. They don't look like her.
Okay.
At all.
Right.
So I think she was a foster parent, but she works in a school as as a teacher, and then she has a woman that takes care of the kids.
Well, if you want a quick adoption, you call CPS and say you want to be a foster care parent. They'll take you aboard with very little training and give you a child really quick. But if you really want to adopt a child, it's a long process. It doesn't happen overnight. If you want to
adopt a child from a foreign country, you're going to spend a lot of money.
Well, I'm not talking even from a foreign country, We're not here to talk about foreign countries adopting foreign countries.
I'm just saying that's what adoption is. You're going to spend a lot of money, but because we have the system here where you get a child for free, you get paid to keep it and steal it.
Right.
But if the agencies, let's say you wanted to adopt a child from China or somewhere, you would have to have a full screening. They would come to your home. You have to pay for all these services that they come for, and it adds up. So you're talking about maybe over $40,000.
Well, you're talking about two kinds of adoptions. The adoptions I'm talking about are the adoptions through a foster care system. I'm not talking about
you
adoption.
Don't have to pay anything.
Yeah, I'm just
talking. If you're a foster parent, you had to pay anything. My uncle didn't have to pay anything. The only thing he had to do was get his foster thing going, and which is fine because he wanted my son to be home with him, and I understood because there was because the foster parents that he had were crazy. They wouldn't feed him any solid food. Yeah. For after 4 months.
Well, what we're talking about on adoption, we're talking about adoption through the CPS's hands. We're not talking about normal adoption that takes years or adoptions that go through countries. It's No,
my son, he was adopted through the CPS through my uncle.
Right, and that's what we're talking about.
Right. So that's what happens, but they're two different kinds, right?
Right. Right now, I've found out that through Google, there are several ways to adopt a child, including domestic infant adoption. This is one of the main ways to adopt a child in the United States. Domestic infant adoption. There's also foster care adoption. This is one of the main ways to adopt a child in the United States. There's international adoption. And that involves adopting a child from another country. There's also step-parent adoption. And that is a type of adoption which often happens after divorce and remarriage. Then there's adult adoption. This is legal in most U.S. states and is often done for inheritance purposes. Sometimes a child cannot be by himself and he needs to be adopted as an adult to manage his money or his inheritance. Now, with the domestic adoption, it's a lengthy process, as well as with international adoption and step-parent adoption and adult adoption. The one I'm talking about is foster care adoption. And that's where we have a group of individuals that express an interest to to adopt a child. And, the one that is domestic adoption is the one that is a lengthy process, which goes through a process of vetting you to see what kind of person is you are. And it could take...
They have to look through this.
Yeah, it takes years. But foster care adoption is an easier way to get a child in your hands. An easier way to get a child in your hands.
Yes. It's the easier way. But they still kind of check.
Yeah.
Well,
I think what happens with foster is that CPS is under the gun to get the children out of your hands. They want to right away, whether they're in imminent danger or not, put them into a foster care environment, whether it's a shelter, a group home, or a single family home. They want to do that. Now, I'm worried about my phone dying. I hope
the group home is like they all live together, and it's like they don't. It's weird because my friend, her son wants to live in a group home over there where that Penny Lane is on Sepulveda and Ram because it's a big business. So he was living there.
Well, here's the thing is, group homes, my children, my three of them were kept together. A group home is usually when you want to keep children together, not break the family apart. Also, it could be
Yeah.
several groups of children living in the same home. It's run by a man and a woman who may also have a child themselves, manages the home. The problem is there was 9 people in the group home my kids were in and only 2 adults. There was added people, they had hired added people, but these added people weren't properly trained. And so one of my sons was constant being punished for drinking too much orange juice. Another son was being punished because he wanted to study late at night because the classes he was taking demanded so. Now, they never took him to his home school of origin. He had to take the bus to go to the school of origin, which is really sad. They want to put him he was in a private school in the STEM education program, and they want to rip him out of that, which I think is wrong. But anyway, you have to be careful with adoptions. You have to be careful. Now, I have about 9 minutes left, Natalie and Faye. What else would you like to talk about? Or what other questions would you want me to answer?
Yeah, you know what? I just think that, like, the one question is funny is, like, you know, they'll take our kids. But I asked this question, will they allow us to take foster care classes? Would they screen us?
Why would you want to take a foster care class?
Because I'm just curious. Like, it's really bizarre. Like, I'm thinking, like, what would you just investigate? You know, like be undercover.
Well,
like,
yeah, that's a whole different thing right now. I'm talking right now to the general public that has the CPS cases open. I'm not talking about
we can ask
going
about,
undercover there.
Okay, so
but,
we could.
And it doesn't have to be about foster care. It doesn't have to be about adoption. It could be something else. Like today, I was reading from Core Digest a really good story about how to keep social workers out of your life. And even Faye was interested too. There's a thing called, you know how you always have to make an appointment with a doctor or anybody else to see? You have to make that appointment, you know?
Right.
You always have to. Well, if you suddenly encounter a social worker and you're outside talking to them, you can ask them right off the bat, do you have an appointment? Do you have an appointment? And I didn't think about that, but that is a good thing. That's a good thing. Hold on 1 second here. I'm going to talk to my one of my boys just got back from college, and he commutes going to college, and they're helping him out, help us out. They gave him a stalk of celery. One time he brings home a pineapple, then a watermelon.
Well, that's great. That's wonderful. When I was going to Chile, I was getting bread and egg and
No. They give spaghetti. They give him. He's brought home. But what I think is so nice is he's trying to help out the family, which is so good. You know, that's really good. But anyway, you have to say to them, I need an appointment. I can't meet with you. You didn't have an appointment.
Right.
That's one way to chase the social worker away. In fact, you want to have an appointment at a neutral spot. What, carrots? Oh, wow. We got carrots? Oh, yeah, he's got carrots and some others.
I had a bunch of carrots too.
Thank you, son. Thank you, son.
Lady,
so anyway, you want to have a, let me finish here, Natalie, because we're running out of time here. We need to have an appointment when you're doing the investigation. It should be at a neutralized place. Don't let them try to have an appointment at your home. They're on a fishing expedition. If they see a couple magazines laying around, they're going to say your home is cluttered. If they see a laundry basket full of clothes, you just put down the answer to the door, they're going to see it cluttered. So you don't want to let them in your home. And you say, furthermore, that you're going to meet with your representation, legal representation. In the Fourth Amendment, it says you're allowed to have a legal representation there at your meeting there. So what you do,
and your First Amendment is to refuse. entry of your home.
Okay.
Or Second Amendment.
Yeah. Well, okay. We're not here talking about amendments here, Natalie. I'm trying. Okay, we got about 2 minutes left of our time here, so I'm going to have to finish where I was saying. But one thing I was trying to get a press upon is that you need an appointment at a neutral place, not their office, not your home, to meet with them.
Right.
And you got to have representation there. And you got to go out and get an attorney. If the attorney is, maybe he will come to you for a couple $100 and you can meet with them. That's the start. That's the start. And I do have a attorney of this law firm that produces podcasts. His name is Vincent W. Davis. He is a dependency law attorney, and he's been practicing fighting CPS for 35 years. He's a trial attorney. He's in the dependency law, family juvenile dependency law. And right now, I've got him to offer a consultation. It's typed on the bottom of my screen that he will have a Zoom meeting with you, a consultation with him. But you have to go to a special website that I've arranged.
If you call
now, if you book, no, okay,
you
Natalie,
have an appointment with them?
Yeah, Natalie, hold on. I have to end the show, okay? I can't take any more conversation here. You have to book. In order to talk to Vincent Davis, you have to book a discounted Zoom consultation with him. And it's for up to 30 minutes, and it's for $60. You have to go to the website. You can't call him for the special rate. It's https://candidly, CALENDLY.com/apps, APPTS, VWD/Bob Pace, BOBPACE. And he'll give you that special rate. You charge your credit card, and for $60, he'll talk to you on a Zoom meeting about your case, about how you can get your children back, and so forth. If you like him, you can retain him. I do have a number posted on my screen, 888-888-6582. That's the law office of Vincent W. Davis Associates. You can talk to him about his retainer and talk to him about other legal matters, but there will be a fee for doing so. Just make sure you tell him that Bob Pace calls in. But if you want that 30-minute of time with Vincent Davis for $60, you have to go to that website. And I really think it's a good idea because having an attorney will save your life. Because you're in a very complex, it's like I say, it's like open heart surgery is trying to deal with CPS. Open heart surgery. Think about that. You got a doctor to do that. You need a full-blown attorney. And the attorney that you get, CPS hopes you take the court-appointed attorney because they're worthless. They have a caseload of 30 more clients. They will not fight for your case. They'll try to settle it. So court-appointed attorney isn't the way to go. But with that said, I'm going to close down the room now. I want to thank Faye for listening and for typing in all the information about adoption. That was really great. I want to thank Natalie for joining in on the phone about adoption and about doing things too. So both Natalie and Faye have been really instrumental. As you can see, this is an interactive podcast. So I hope everybody will come tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock and hear more about how to fight CPS and stop taking our children. God bless you all, and keep fighting, and don't